Good evening. I'm Epstein with your Metal Market Wrap-Up, and this wrap-up is for Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024, about 6:20 p.m. Central Time. Well, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, I do, and that's what's going on. The gold market tried the upside in the 2350s. If it got, in my opinion, under the 2330 level, you had lost that attempt. And the market's just drifting like this, but now more bearish than bullish. I can say that. When you look at the energy markets, the 85 level seems to now be an area that the market sort of mini-stalled at. We'll see what goes on there. Bonds and notes, it's like watching paint dry. Normally, these are very active markets. All the volume has really just centered on tightening of ranges and not a lot going on as the market's waiting for Friday's PCE numbers and what the Fed reads out of that. That's going to be very important. We're now seeing that the dollar climbed a fraction, and we're seeing most of the currency markets tonight down a little bit, and stock indices are still under some pressure. Now, they did go up today. What you saw today was a reversal of the past 3 days, where finally a bid came into the NASDAQ and the S&P, and now tonight they're all giving something back on that. I still say the most bearish of them is the Russell, and my subscribers know why I say that and where we're at on what we call our concept trades on the short side there. So when I look at the gold market, we had talked about if it's going to continue to fall, the 18-week moving average of closes could be where the market's heading at. That is still very much in play. For the week, just to give you an idea, we're into Wednesday trade already. You're up 0.01%. So you're basically unchanged is what I'm saying. And you can see what's going on here. Now, trying to make a lot out of that is difficult. If the market clears through these lows, then we can get a further break. The pattern flip-flopped on us. If we take a look, and let's go back just a little bit here and take a look at what I'm showing you. At this point, you had higher lows, higher highs. What you could not afford to take out was that low. So now we see the market comes down, and this was on Monday. Here you are yesterday, and you made a higher high and closed lower. Now that changes. You really don't have to get under this low. If you take out right here, the 23.29, I say that's enough to say the market's back into what we call, on the swing lines, a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows. When we look at where the battleground has been going, it's right at the 18-day average of closes. The Bollinger Bands haven't been in play, but if the market falls, the first main support's 23.0570. With the secondary, remember we were looking how much the market could fall on the weekly chart, maybe the 22.79 level for the 100-day average. And momentum, well, it's down. It's oversold. I consider any reading under 30 oversold. So I see a market in an oversold area in a downtrend. And that's about all I can say with it. Resistance, I'm going to look at it 23.45. Good place to not be right now. In the gold-silver ratio, as long as the market's still pointing higher and over the 18-day average on a relative basis, you need to buy to get an ounce of gold, you got to give more ounces of silver, and that's why the number keeps climbing up from here. So recently you were near 73, now you're back to the 80 level, so 7 more ounces of silver. And you see that on the silver chart, but it too isn't in a trend. It's number one, if it falls further, the Bollinger Band support, but you have a higher high, lower low. I would call the metals a mess right now. In the copper market, still bearish, all right? This market caught the traders, me included, up here. When it gave up that bullishness, had to come out, and that was it. I called it a day. It has since really fallen very hard, and there's just too much supply in London. Now, the London Metal Exchange copper is not deliverable against the CME group copper. One's a COMEX, one's the LME exchange. It gets very complicated, and they're totally out of kilter with each other. So the question is, how much is available? Well, for the world market, the London Metal Exchange is saying there's ample amounts, but for the Chicago market, you don't have a lot of copper in our warehouses. And this has been the problem. Remember how up here they had to ship in the copper to meet the demand, and they had to do it from Australia and other areas. It couldn't come from the London exchanges. And this is what that market did, and then you brought it in and you took that out. But how low? I'm still going to stick my neck out for you and say between 433 and 431, the 100-day average, lower Bollinger to there, is the first major support. If that gives ground, then the 407, 406 area is your next support area. Is there anything on this chart that can just suddenly turn it bullish? I don't see it. You did have an outside day down today, and my rule is if you take out the high of an outside day down within 2 trading sessions, the market often then makes a run to the closest either Bollinger Band or moving average, the closest of them, and it would be wherever that average is. It would be a short covering is a way to look at it. In the platinum market, we continue to fail. Lower highs, lower lows. You got up to the 18-day average and you're starting to sink back a bit. In the dollar index, higher lows, higher highs, and extremely overbought? No. What the market is now is it's getting the embedded reading. Let's count. Both numbers over 80. I was showing you this yesterday. Both over 80 on Monday, and on Friday they were, and not the day before. So now that you have your 3, as long as the market doesn't take out today's highs, I think the pros will buy the market, looking for it to come up. But now you've got to ask yourself the question, how do you want to be positioned in front of Friday's PCE number? Do you want to take on that risk or not? These are things you're going to have to go with and make a decision of, because it just appears that that's what the market is waiting on. When we take a look at how the rest of the markets were going with it, Bitcoin had a good rally, came well off the lows. You know, it got down to about the 59,000 level. It's come back up a little bit here. Platinum is still in a bit of a problem. The yen is going to be interesting because there's a July meeting coming up. The market is really testing the Bank of Japan. If they don't do something, the market, at least the writers, analysts in the market, and I'm in that camp with them, they say the market will push under the 160, headed towards, well, actually over it in terms of numbers, into the possible 165, 170 level, and we'll see what happens. So the onus is on the bank to do something there. What do we have tomorrow in the way of data? Well, you have the Mortgage Bankers Association number, and that comes out at 6 a.m. On Thursday, we'll hear what Fannie Mae sets the new mortgage rates at. New home sales data will come out tomorrow at 9. When you take a look at the April numbers, they were down about 4.7%. The estimate is that the May numbers are going to improve and be up about 2.5%. So we'll see what that part does. I want to remind you, for those of you that have TradingView, all right, it's a popular chart service. We have a suite of indicators that work with it. So what you see I'm doing on the charts here, it all comes in there, and you can get your charts with the swing lines, with my modification to the slow stochastics, the moving averages that I use. It's all available. So all this is right there. How it's done is and by the way, the window envelope studies that I have, you'll be able to keep up with them exactly by doing it this way. And of course, my formula for slow stochastics. So how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, iraepstein.com. TradingView Indicators is located in the Customer Resource section. So when you get to the website, you look on the top right, you'll see Client Resource section. That is where you go. It only takes up 2 of your slots. You go to iraepstein.com, or you can move your cursor right here. It'll take you right there. I'm Ira. You have yourself a good evening. I'll catch up with you all in the morning.